Most people think money problems come from big mistakes, a bad investment, a wrong career move, one expensive decision they regret. But what if that's not true? What if your financial future isn't being decided by the big moments at all, but by something so ordinary you barely notice it? The way your mornings start, how tired you feel by evening, what you do when your energy is gone and your patience is thin. Not dramatic choices, just routine. And once you see it, it's hard to unsee how quietly powerful it is. We're taught to think about money as a numbers problem. Income, expenses, savings, investments. So when things feel tight or stressful, we assume the solution must be financial too. Earn more, budget harder, learn more. But that framing misses something important, because money decisions don't happen in spreadsheets. They happen when you're tired, when you're rushed, when you're stressed after work, when you're standing in a grocery store deciding what feels easiest, not what's optimal. Most people aren't bad with money, they're exhausted. And exhaustion shapes behavior far more than intelligence ever will. Your daily routine is basically a system, a loop you repeat without thinking. When you wake up, how quickly you check your phone, whether your mornings feel rushed or controlled, how drained you feel by late afternoon, what kind of decisions you're capable of at night. That system decides how much mental energy you have left for money decisions. And mental energy is the real currency here. Because every financial choice, saving, spending, planning, requires clarity. And clarity disappears when routine drains you. Let's talk about a normal day. You wake up already slightly behind. Maybe you slept too late. Maybe you stayed up scrolling. Maybe you're thinking about work before you even get out of bed. Your morning becomes reactive instead of intentional. By the time you reach work, you've already spent your best focus just trying to catch up. Then work demands attention, patience, problem solving, and by the end of the day, your decision-making capacity is low. That's when money habits show up. Ordering takeout instead of cooking, impulse buying for relief, ignoring bills because they feel heavy, putting off planning because it feels overwhelming. None of that happens because you don't care. It happens because your routine quietly removed your ability to care effectively. One day like this doesn't matter much, but routines repeat, and repetition compounds faster than almost anything in finance. If your routine leaves you depleted, your money habits will always lean toward comfort instead of intention. That doesn't mean reckless spending. It means small leaks, subscriptions you don't review, costs you tolerate because changing them feels like work, goals you postpone because now isn't the right time. Over years, these small decisions shape outcomes more than any single financial choice. People often think financial success is about discipline, but discipline assumes constant willpower, and willpower is unreliable. Routine is reliable. If your routine supports calm, your money decisions follow. If your routine creates stress, your money absorbs it. That's why two people with the same income can end up in completely different financial situations, not because one is smarter, because one's daily structure protects their energy. Think about when you check your bank account. Some people check it calmly, regularly, without panic. Others avoid it until they have to. That difference often isn't about income. It's about emotional capacity. If your routine already overwhelms you, checking finances feels threatening. So avoidance becomes a coping mechanism. And avoidance quietly costs money. Late fees, missed opportunities, unnoticed spending drift. Not because you don't know better, because your routine trained your nervous system to avoid stress wherever possible. Here's the shift that changes everything. Money outcomes don't start with money habits. They start with how your day treats your mind. When your routine creates breathing room, you don't need motivation to manage money. You naturally want to. You notice patterns sooner. You feel less defensive. You're willing to look honestly without shame. That's when progress accelerates.
not because you tried harder, but because you finally had the space to see clearly.
This isn't about waking up at 5 a.m. or optimizing every minute. It's about reducing friction. A morning that isn't rushed. Transitions that aren't chaotic. Evenings that don't feel like recovery mode. When your day stops draining you, your money decisions stop being reactive. You start asking better questions. Not, can I afford this right now? But, does this actually make my life easier? That's a completely different financial lens. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a supportive one. Something that preserves mental energy instead of consuming it. Maybe it's simplifying mornings so you don't start stressed. Maybe it's setting boundaries around work hours. Maybe it's reducing the number of decisions you make when you're tired. When energy improves, financial clarity follows naturally. Not instantly, but consistently. And consistency always beats intensity. It can feel frustrating to realize money outcomes depend on things that aren't strictly financial, especially if life already feels demanding. But this realization is also freeing, because it means you don't have to overhaul your finances overnight. You can start with how your days feel. That's a much gentler entry point. Your routine isn't just a schedule. It's a filter between your intentions and your behavior, and money passes through that filter every single day. When the filter is clogged with stress, money decisions suffer quietly. When it's clear, progress feels lighter, even when income doesn't change. If there's one thing to remember, it's this. Financial progress doesn't require perfect discipline. It requires a life structure that supports calm thinking. Small adjustments done consistently will always outperform dramatic changes done briefly. You don't need to control everything, just enough to give your future self a fair chance. And that's already more than most people ever realize.